Fauci files released. Starmer quits. Iran talks progress. And Colombia turns right. Greetings, humanity. Let's GROK the news. Starting with the most important story in the world today. Dateline, Washington, D.C. Outgoing Director of National Intelligence, Tulsi Gabbard, declassified hundreds of pages of intelligence documents on June 18th, just before leaving office. The files allege that Dr. Anthony Fauci, while serving as director of the National Institute of Allergy and Infectious Diseases, directed U.S. taxpayer funds toward gain-of-function research, which was illegal. And they were doing it on the bat coronaviruses at China's Wuhan Institute of Virology. Now, according to the released materials, approximately $600,000 flowed through the EcoHealth Alliance to support this work. Intelligence assessments included in the release reference a 2020 Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory report that highlighted conditions at the Wuhan lab as ripe for an accidental release of a modified coronavirus. Whistleblower accounts and internal emails suggest Fauci participated in shaping U.S. intelligence community reviews to favor a natural origin narrative, a natural origin lie about the origins of COVID-19, while privately engaging with officials on lab leak concerns and how to tamp that down. Gabbard stated that the documents show Fauci misled Congress, to say the least. Fauci lied to Congress under oath in 2024 testimony. The release also details a broader U.S.-funded network of more than 120 biological laboratories across 30 countries, including sites in Ukraine, that remain vulnerable amid the ongoing conflict. Officials claim limited oversight, increased risks from high-risk pathogen research. The timing aligns with President Trump's directives for greater transparency on pandemic origins and an executive order restricting federal gain-of-function funding. Supporters, including Senator Rand Paul, have called for deeper congressional investigations into biosecurity and accountability. Fauci has not issued a detailed public response to these specific files. He received one of the huge auto-penned dump of preemptive pardons from then-President Biden covering federal offenses during through early 2025. The declassification has renewed global debate over risky research practices, government transparency, and public trust in health institutions. Critics argue it exposes potential failures in oversight that contributed to the pandemic's devastating impact. Critics argue a lot more than that. Proponents of the lab leak hypothesis see it as validation of long-suppressed questions. Intelligence agencies remain divided on the exact origins of SARS-CoV-2, with some assessments still favoring natural spillover, while others point to lab incidents as plausible. The development comes as the world continues to grapple with the pandemic's long-term economic, social, and health consequences. It raises fresh concerns about great power competition in biotechnology and the need for stricter international standards on dual-use research. Do the documents conclusively prove criminal conduct? Well, in this observer's opinion, they certainly do. Was Fauci and his team funding and then covering up crimes against humanity, compounded by the pandemic response in itself, arguably more disastrous and costing more lives and disrupting more lives than the spread of the virus itself? Well, all of that will be for Congress and the courts and for humanity itself to decide. There's a lot of new material here for lawmakers and the public to evaluate past decisions in the years to come. This observer evaluated those past decisions with the data that was available at the time, much of which was known. Analysts say the release could influence future policy on biosecurity, funding for overseas labs, and efforts to prevent future pandemics. It also highlights ongoing tensions between transparency and national security classifications. As more details emerge from the full archive, expect continued scrutiny from Congress and independent researchers. The story underscores the lasting questions surrounding one of the defining events of our 21st century. Well, folks, this observer is gratified that this information has finally, officially seen the light of day. We've known much of this for a very long time. It was, of course, much of it ignored, dismissed by the news media, just as this document dump was dismissed this weekend by the mainstream legacy corporate media. But as for me, I'm Robert Gardner, using GROK each weekday to truthfully summarize the news, and you get my opinions for free. We review a roundup of the most critical reports in the world right after this. M.S. Gardner, my wife, is author of Wolf's Bane, a dark, serious, modern take on an old fairy tale, a page-turner, a Southern Gothic story for adults. Wolf's Bane is available now at thecuriousauthor.com and, of course, on Amazon.com. Now, we grok the news with headlines from around the world. Dateline London, the United Kingdom. UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer announced his resignation today with a lingering months-long exit timetable. The move follows mounting pressure over immigration, energy costs, and Labour Party challenges after nearly 2 years in office. Andy Burnham emerges as the frontrunner to replace him as the nation rages over a political and media elite who refuse to address the illegal population replacement migration crisis they imposed on the nation and the gang rapes over the last 10 years by the invaders of nearly 250,000 women and children, hushed up, covered up, ignored by authorities, and even worse, those who complained were jailed. Right now, the incarcerations of people who speak out against the government are greater in Great Britain than in Russia and China combined. Dateline, Bergenstock, Switzerland. Mediators reported encouraging progress after the first round of U.S.-Iran talks. The discussions produced a roadmap toward a final deal within 60 days, covering nuclear issues, sanctions relief, the Strait of Hormuz, and Lebanon tensions. This despite an unhinged speech by the Iranian president and harsh warnings from President Trump. Vice President J.D. Vance participated as Trump warned of consequences if proxies, that is to say, if Iranian-paid proxies continue their destabilizing actions. He's talking about Hezbollah, the Houthis, and, of course, Hamas. Dateline, Bogota, Colombia. Trump-backed right-wing lawyer Abelardo de la Espriella won Colombia's... I had trouble saying Colombia after all of that. De la Espriella has won Colombia's presidential runoff in a narrow victory. The hardliner defeated his leftist opponent, prompting claims of interference from the outgoing administration. The result signals a shift toward conservative policies in the South American nation. Indeed, there has been a growing move toward freedom and away from the corruption and communism of the nations of Central and South America over my lifetime. Dateline, the Donetsk region of Ukraine. Russian forces are building up troops near a key city seen as critical for seizing more of Ukraine's Donbas region. Advances continue amid reports of desertions on the Ukrainian side. The developments heighten concerns over the grinding war's impact on civilians and regional stability. Dateline Kiev. Ukrainian strikes prompted Russia to pause civilian fuel sales in occupied Crimea. The attacks have disrupted daily life there and heightened the continuing impact of the conflict on occupied territories. Dateline Paris, France. A severe heat wave grips much of Europe, with red alerts in France, the UK, and Germany. Temperatures are forecast to exceed 40 degrees Celsius. We would call that 104 degrees Fahrenheit here in the United States. That's hot, no matter how you look at it. Well, there are health warnings triggered, travel disruptions increased, wildfire risks. Authorities urge residents to take precautions during this extreme heat wave. Dateline Tacloban in the Philippines. 2 students were arrested after a rare school shooting killed 3 teens and wounded others. Police point to possible bullying as a motive. The incident has shocked the country and prompted renewed calls for stricter gun control and school safety measures. Dateline Goma in the Democratic Republic of Congo. Confirmed Ebola cases in the ongoing outbreak have topped 1,000. A closure has cut off a key lifeline between Goma and Rwanda. Health workers faced heightened risks as officials work to contain the deadly virus spreading through a difficult region. Dateline Beijing. China has imposed sanctions on U.S. tech giants and added firms to its export control list. The measures respond to recent American restrictions. Tensions in technology and trade continue to escalate between the two powers. Dateline New York. Leading UN Secretary-General candidate Macky Sall has voiced support for Donald Trump's push to reform the United Nations. The Senegalese politician endorsed efforts to make the UN great again in exclusive comments. Make the UN great again? Would you call that MAGA? Dateline Mexico City, Mexico. Archaeologists have discovered never-before-seen pre-Hispanic ruins with Mayan features. This find adds new insights into ancient civilizations in the region. Dateline Berlin, Germany. EasyJet rejected a £4.7 billion takeover offer from a U.S. investment firm. The decision comes amid broader European aviation industry consolidation talks. Dateline Tokyo. Japan has raised visa fees for the first time since 1978. The quintupling of a Japanese visa aims to address tourism management and administrative costs. Dateline Geneva, Switzerland. The FDA, that's in the United States, approved the world's first mRNA-based flu vaccine. The development signals a new era in illness prevention technology with potential global health implications. So in the last story of the day, we come full circle around to the concerns of the first story today. mRNA vaccines were certainly not looked at carefully back in the days of trying the warp speed prevention of COVID spread. The mRNA vaccines have proven to have many side effects for many people. What about these? This observer declined to take the mRNA virus vaccines during the days of COVID, and he will decline to take them until they are proven safe and effective. And I thank you for listening. Please join me tomorrow to once again GROK the News. I'm Robert Gardner. Godspeed and God bless.